next week. And I'm going to lock myself out 3 or 4 times. There'll be a few people wandering around in the hallways wondering what appointment they were supposed to be at, why they missed it, and come this fall there'll be students dazed and confused in the hallway looking for help, and there'll be nobody there, because you're irreplaceable. And our administration has made sure that you're irreplaceable. So this is a small token of our appreciation for all the years you've been here and all the work you've done. And we'll miss you. Thank you.
I might need another couple. I wrote this really big so I didn't have my glasses.
Can you talk to me about this? Okay.
Pass the box around.
Okay, Amanda and I got the over-emotional gene in our some of you may have heard this at long-term service, but I added to it. All right. 39 years working in the same building and in the same faculty brings a lot of memories. The deans, the faculty, staff, and students have provided me with lots of laughs, tears, and on many occasions, the head shaking side to side. I would like to share some of these moments with you. In some cases, if I mention your name, I apologize. If I don't mention your name, feel blessed. These come in no particular order. How about in the late 1970s, when the transformer blew on the roof of Brody? The transformer went out the first week of July. We never had power restored until the second last week of August. Dr. Jason Levy from the Applied Disaster and Emergency Studies Department, who left with his belongings packed into garbage bags. Have you ever worked with a clean freak? Yes, I mean, if you haven't, try working on the 4th floor with Dion. I was never so happy when Dion and Charlene had children. I was hoping that having kids may tame Dion down a bit, and he wouldn't be such neat freak. It helped a little. The blizzard in February of 1998 that crippled the city of Brandon and actually closed the university down for 2 days. The main floor hallway is a wonderful place to play. No, I mean work. Playing with racing cars. We were busy driving the cars that were going to the career symposium. The hallway is long and wide and a great place to practice. Last time down the hall, and guess who was coming in to work? Yes, the acting dean of science. The look on his face was priceless. I can only imagine what he was thinking. The Brandon University Faculty Association strike. The 3-day strike in 1998. I wasn't ready for them to come back to work. April 1st, April Fool's Day, and science faculty. Wow, what a combination. Back in the day, April 1st was known as Carl Belke Day. The craziest ties would be worn by faculty, staff, and students. Carl retired, and now April 1st has just turned into April Fool's Day. Which faculty member can outdo the other, and who can do it the best? Dion, I do believe you hold the record for this. Gluing shoes to the floor, gluing down a computer mouse to a desk, but best of all, gluing down the receiver of Brian's phone. We patiently waited for Brian to arrive, and Dion comes running into the office saying, "Phone him now." It was a hoot. The Faculty Association strike in 2008. I was happy to see them come back to work. Names. In this faculty, we have had our fair share of names. Names that have been very difficult to pronounce. Dr. Dariush from Avocity and Dr. Cancer from Sworn come to mind. When Elaine Anderson was still with the Department of Applied Disaster and Emergency Studies, we practiced months saying, Etsuko Yasui. I never thought I'd be able to say it properly, but I mastered it. make sure these people are here. Over the years, there have been only 5 professors who I have never been able to call by their first names. Dr. Tyler and Dr. Anderson, both in psychology. They were never Curly and Cliff to me. Another faculty member from physics, who I still can't call by his first name, is Dr. Gulliver. And from Applied Disaster and Emergency Studies, Dr. Belfort Spence, or Dr. Burt to me. And lastly, but certainly not least, oh yes, he's here. To some, he may be Dr. Gorner, Philip, or Phil, but to me, he will always be Dr. Phil. From time to time, people on campus will ask who I miss the most, and have come and gone from the faculty. A few come to mind: Cassidy, Lucy, and Dylan. John Everett's dogs. The Faculty Association strike in 2011 that lasted 45 days. Oh, holy God, let's party, they're coming back to work. How about June the 14th, 2009? To this day, please don't mention you hear water running around Dr. Gulliver. That was the day of the Brody flood. Snakes, mice, power outages, and the arrival of the second elevator. Oh yes, the elevators, how they bring back not so fond memories. Getting stuck in the elevator over lunch to be rescued by Dave Parsons. I'd only been stuck there, well, I thought it was a very long time, but it was only 10 minutes. This minute, my face just stuck. Never get on the elevator with Doug McIntyre, especially when he's carrying a bag, and a bag that moves. I found out really quickly he's usually carrying a bag of snakes. The funeral directors from Rocky Donovan visited me one day on the elevator and asked if I'd like to ride up with them. One of them said to the other, "Look, now there'll be 3 of us standing and 1 laying." Crap, a cadaver. No thanks, I'll wait for the next one. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. The mail is being delivered. The faculty in Applied Disaster and Emergency Studies often hear, "Slash," with a reply, "John." Many days, that's all the words that are exchanged. How about the year Canadian Forces Base Shiloh was called in for the old chemicals that the IA thought was a potential bomb? The many conferences that have been hosted or held in the Science Building, and the classrooms turned into bedrooms to host the Summer Olympics, as well as the classrooms used 2 years ago for Kirkcaldy Heights School when they were evacuated because of the flood. Years ago, the city was once blessed with a huge snowstorm. It happened the night before the first-year statistics exam. The phone started ringing at 8 in the morning. There were many students who knew they weren't going to get in to write. 2 faculty members taught the course. I called Jeff Williams at home. He told me that the students would be given an opportunity to write the exam at a different time. At the same time, he told me to call the other professor to double-check with him that this was okay. When I called him, he ripped me a new one and told me I had no business calling him at home. I, in turn, told him I was sorry I had called and troubled him. I did suggest to him that he should possibly stay by the phone because I was giving out his home phone. All the students were calling about the exam. Did his tone change in a hurry? It seemed that everything was fine, and it was wonderful that I called him. You can only imagine what I called him under my breath. You can insert any word you want. Finding sheet notes in the washroom on the 4th floor of Brody. Brian Hill wasn't sure what I was up to when I invited him into the ladies' washroom. The human geography exam that went missing years ago and still has never appeared. There have been many births, deaths, showers, farewells, and weddings in the past 39 years. The weddings of Jerry Dewick and Barbara Feldner, Bob Springer, Dennis Olson and Nitke Edgar, Bob Springer, and most recently, Maureen and Craig Sessenstruck. Do you remember the Honeywell computer in the basement of Brody? classrooms that are now offices, classrooms which are now labs, and let's not forget the theatre. Do you remember when Lily Walker from psychology fell off the stage in Lecture Theatre B, jumped up and kept on teaching? Or the time the streaker came running in the back door and out the front door of Theatre B? Again, it happened when Lily was teaching. I must add, she was really upset about this. In fact, she was mad. She'd missed the whole thing and wanted him to do it again. It was 7 o'clock on a Sunday night in November 1982. Dr. Gwynne Richards was pounding on our door. He had run, and I mean run, just over 7 blocks, desperately needing a ride to the airport. His wife would be landing in 15 minutes. Off we went. We made it to the Brennan Airport on time. For me to be the first one to meet Gillian Richards. Over the years, there have been many parties held in and outside of science. Bridal parties, farewell parties, birthday parties, unstag parties, and of course, ladies, let's not forget the Friday afternoon coffee parties. The arrival of new office furniture, it may have been second-hand to some, but it was new and improved to us. The psychology nursery school, children trick-or-treating, typing dots for Rod McGinn. Brody's turn to host the Christmas luncheon, and just in case you don't remember, it'll happen again in 2015. Typing Ellie Crystal's Christmas letter. I got caught up on all the family news. Geology, physics, and astronomy. Who can ever forget Karen Taylor from the second floor and her jamming Dennis Bramadant's mail slot full of junk. This past term has been one that I will never forget. Derek Ebert's falling on the ice and not being able to teach all term. The collection of over $150 worth of pennies for Chemistry Week so the faculty could do their outreach program. Getting documents prepared for the Department of Chemistry review, and being appointed acting president for 2 days. If I'd only known the changes that could have been made. New faculty positions, filling staff positions, sabbatical replacements, and even managing to negotiate a contract or two. You, the faculty, staff, and students who have made this a great place to work. And I'll never get through the last paragraph. Thank you. And to the ladies in Brody who organized it, I love you.
Okay, now everybody eat food.